Well, I think what Bill's going to share here about Psalm 83 and about the people groups that Asaph is speaking of and who they are today is so vital to our understanding of Bible prophecy. To me, it was a missing link, just about what he has said it was in the promo of his book and his previous books, too. So I want the listeners to really be listening up here, because when I first heard this, it was like it came together in such a way. I know I was sitting there in the audience with my mouth open listening to Bill expound on this, and this is something we can't miss. If you're a lover of Bible prophecy, you need to be listening.
Right. Well, on your book cover, Bill, you've got the nations that are going to be participating in a war, and I think we should say not every Bible scholar believes this is a war. Some are saying it's an imprecatory prayer, that wars aren't found in the book of Psalms. I would say what you've uncovered, Bill Salas, would indicate that this is probably more than an imprecatory prayer coming against Israel, Egypt, Hamas, Palestinians, Hezbollah, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Muslim Brotherhood. You take it from there.
Absolutely, and you're right. Some do believe that it is not a prophecy, and the product you're offering, America in the Coming Mideast Wars, should dispel that thinking on one of the bonus TV shows with Dr. David Reagan on that. So, but Asaph is a prophet. We're told in 2 Chronicles 29:30 that he is a seer. King Hezekiah calls that out. And so we have a prophecy, and the participants of this prophecy are, of course, when Asaph wrote, he did not have Palestinians and Hezbollah and Hamas. He had Edomites and Ammonites, etc. But he lists them, and he actually lists Palestinian refugees as best we can tell if you follow their history. The Palestinians today have ethnical representation of these ancient Edomites. And so what happens is we start to figure out who is he talking about, and it turns out that it's the Arab states that share common borders with Israel, from which now come terrorist populations like Hamas, Hezbollah. Palestinian refugees, of course, have their terrorist groups within them as well, that they want to destroy the nation of Israel. And we see that that is what's been transpiring. They don't even, for the most part, recognize Israel's right to exist, which is also part of Psalm 83. They want to destroy the nation of Israel, that the name of Israel can be remembered no more. So we've been seeing this play out since Israel became a nation in 1948, and it is going to have a conclusion. And what's interesting is when you study Bible prophecy, you realize that none of these populations exist in any of the other major wars, like, for instance, this Gog of Magog war that many of your listeners might be familiar with in Ezekiel 38. Those are entirely different populations. None of those populations in Gog of Magog share common borders with Israel, and yet all of the populations share common borders in Psalm 83 with Israel. And again, that's Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and of course you've got the Muslim Brotherhood now, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Palestinian refugees, of course, and they're listed first, by the way, in Psalm 83, verse 6. It seems to be their plight. They're listed as refugees. It says the tents of Edom, which would represent a refugee condition in the Bible.